Today I wanted to make a video, not really talking about my behavior in the present, but more so about how I grew up and how I lived and, just my experiences as a youth. And then I guess I'm not going to really connect it to how I feel it affects my behavior today in the present. I guess I'll do that in future videos when I look at each behavior separately and specific instances from childhood and how it affects like that slice of behavior. But for now, I'm just going to talk about my past. Yes, I'm wearing the same shirt from yesterday. I've laid in bed all day doing homework. I haven't really felt like getting out of bed that much, but I'll change later when I take a shower and everything. Um, so let's see. I look like a piece of crap. Anyway, I grew up in a house, as I said in the previous video, with a really cold mother. I guess since as early as I can remember, my earliest memories, I was always really abused. And I'm just going to talk about the physical manner first and like instances of physical abuse. My mother never really learned how to discipline us, or, well, at least me. She was pretty good with my brother. I definitely got the more intense end of her anger and her lack of warmth, I guess. So she would usually discipline me, through physical violence. Sometimes she was, normal about it, and she'd just make me hold out my hands, and I'd get spanked with a wooden spoon, and things like that. I don't think are an issue. I think, I can understand why some parents do that. I don't think that's abuse. Um, but with me, it wasn't done out of love. It was done more out of pure and utter annoyance and disgust. Even at like the young age of 5, she was disgusted with me. And she would, the times that she wasn't, um, as lacking in punitivity, I guess, she was really bad. A couple of examples. One time I was in Cape Cod, and we had rented this vacation cottage, and I actually spilled milk on the floor. This is true. This was over spilled milk. I spilled milk on the floor, and she threw me onto the floor with such force that she split my chin open. And I don't know if you can see in the video, but the scars are still there. So she split my chin open, and obviously she had to take me to the hospital, and I got stitches. And CPS made an inquiry, and nothing was really done. So that was, one specific instance of her, abuse. And I think after her doing that, she wasn't as cold to me as, you know, preceding instances of abuse, because she almost got caught and she almost was charged with something. So I think she felt guilty, and I think her guilt was motivated more by her almost getting caught as opposed to her actually feeling bad she hurt me. But usually when she beat me afterwards, she would like not speak to me for days. She would just treat me like crap for days. And I mean, I don't think that that kind of like encourages emotional growth. It it was just extra punitive and extra cold. She never really explained to me why I got, I was being punished. It was more, I'm punishing you, I'm angry at you, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. It wasn't, this is what you did, you disappointed me, you made me feel this way, so you're gonna be punished, It was the other way. So another instance was when and I don't remember what age this was. I know I was pretty young. I'd say between like 6 and 8 maybe. I had gone into her jewelry, and I remember she must have discovered it at night while I was asleep. Well, she did discover it. And while I was sleeping, in my dream, I kind of like felt that I was like flying. And it was actually her, because I woke up eventually, it was actually her beating me in my sleep. And that was another, instance of abuse. Um, Another time I was in grade school, again, I don't remember the age. I was in grade school and I made a paper flower. It was like out of tissue paper. And I went into her room and I sprayed perfume on it because I wanted it to smell like a real flower. All I did was spray perfume. I'm not sure if I made her things on her dresser out of order. I'm not sure how messy I got with it. I'm almost positive it wasn't that messy, but to give her the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say I'm sure I left things in a little bit of a state of disarray. So I sprayed the paper flower with perfume, and she beat me for that. And this wasn't a regular beating. This was me being beat into a heat grate. Just beat into not one of those standing heat grates. We had like vents, and there was this little pointed thing that stuck out. Our house was like old, and she beat my head into it. I don't think like it was split open that bad, but she did damage. I mean, there's multiple occasions just where she was so physically violent, and not only did the violence um, leave me feeling abandoned and ignored and neglected and hurt, but it was her behavior afterwards, the coldness. And granted, I had ADHD. I still have ADHD. So I understand that I was, a handful, and I know that she tried to reach out and, make attempts at alleviating the situation to her defense, but it wasn't enough. Um, and I have a relationship with her today, but I've kind of like kept her at arm's length because she's so invalidating and cold. I want to say she's a narcissist, but I'm not, I don't have the credentials to do that. I know a lot about psychology, and her behavior is like, I'd say like fits a 70% profile of a narcissist, but I can't make that assessment. But in addition to her physical abuse, she was very cold and very detached from me, almost like she resented me, and she's still that way to this day. I attempted suicide last year, and instead of coming, to see me, she just like left me. I live in Long Island now, and she lives in upstate New York, like way up towards Canada. And she just, she wasn't too concerned about it. Friends were calling her, and they said that they were shocked by her lack of concern and how calmly she spoke to them, as if it wasn't important to her. So, I always experienced that level of emotional invalidation as a child. When I was 13, I was arrested. I was arrested for breaking into a neighbor's house, and I actually remember why I broke into a neighbor's house. I broke into a neighbor's house to steal something to give to her, so that she would, it would create a connection, a bond between us. Even if just in that moment of giving her whatever I had stolen, it would create, her approval. And so I was arrested, and it was my first offense. And I remember going in front of the judge the next day, and she was there, and she actually told the judge that she didn't want me back. And that led me being into placement for 5 years, from 13 to 18. So you can imagine how abandoned that left me feeling. On top of her emotional invalidation, that just like kind of compounded it. And even still, when I was in placement, I would get home visits, and I would always try to please her, and it was never good enough. She would constantly, I would get 2 phone calls a week usually, especially at this one treatment center. Well, not treatment center, but residential, facility. I would get 2 phone calls a week, and even if I expressed a feeling to her, she would hang the phone up on me. And I obviously wouldn't get to call her back. And she would say it was disrespect, when honestly, it was just me expressing my feelings. And that compounded the feeling of abandonment, and the coldness from her. And my father always worked. I grew up actually in a middle class, not poor, but middle class. We were, we were comfortable. And my father was always busy working, and it was my mother that cared for us. And I'd like to note again that she never treated my brother the way she treated me. And that's kind of common in borderline families, where one sibling is kind of like the target, and I was the black sheep. And again, like I said, that might be because I was a handful. I would steal, I would do all sorts of crazy stuff. But she was never warm in her approach to me. She was always very cold. And like I said yesterday in my previous video, her coldness left me feeling like I needed to I needed to seek her approval. And that's why I have such a stable self-image with others, or unstable self-image, excuse me, with others, because I'm constantly, at the moment in that specific relationship trying to be what that person wants me to be, and I'm impulsive about it. Like, I'll just say something without thinking it, and of course it'll be a lie, just to get that person to like me. And that's why I'm so seductive and alluring, is because I'm able to play this game. I perfected this game of making people want me to fill this black hole. And you can't tell, but I'm actually fairly attractive. You obviously cannot tell. I've got zits all over my face. I'm not wearing makeup. I'm in the same shirt as yesterday. I look pretty gross, but I can be fairly attractive, and that also is one of my weapons for getting the attention that I need to fill this hole because of her. And I know a lot of you are like, well, it's not all her fault. And I don't think it is all her fault. I think there were multiple failures in multiple ways. Not necessarily from her, but my father, of course, too. He never really protected me. He just kind of let the abuse continue, and he's very apologetic about it to this day. He wants to do whatever he can in my therapy process, to help me get better. So, I've kind of like forgiven him, but I still have this tug of war with how I feel about my mom. The best way to explain it is that I hate that I can't hate her, because she's my mom. I hate that I can't despise her and totally treat her like crap. Because even still, there's this need for her approval. And that's why I keep her at arm's length, because I don't want to feel like I have to do that. And I've been pretty good about, setting boundaries with her, and that I don't want to speak to her every day like I would do before. I don't want to, satiate that need. Because I just kind of want to break away from that pattern. But that's the abuse that I suffered as a child. And I also want to note some protective things So maybe that's why my borderline isn't as severe as it could be. Because like I said, I don't self-harm. My suicide attempts are mostly just cries and ploys for attention. While that's just speaking for me, I want to note that too. I can't say that for all borderlines that's the truth, because some of them feel so empty that their suicide attempts are real. And I'm sure in the moment for me, sometimes I really do want to die. But I know that it's more of attention seeking, and mostly because I want her attention. But that aside, I do have a lot of protective factors, because I don't do drugs. I've never had any addiction issues. I've never had, the self-harming, the real severe self-harming behavior. I mean, some of my actions are obviously self-destructive, but I wouldn't call them self-harm. Sorry, I've got two cats over here playing, and one of them's a kitten, and he's getting upset with the bigger cat. But anyway, so my protective factors were, um, in placement, there were people who cared about me, and they genuinely cared about me, and they were warm in their discipline, in their disciplinary approaches. They would discipline me, but it would be, I'm disciplining you because you need the discipline, and I still love you. I still care about you. I still want to see you succeed. I still want to see you do the right thing. I don't want to see you go down the road that so many other kids in placement go down. And I think that really made me still hold on by a thread that there were good people in this world, that there were good people in this world worth trusting and worth connecting to. And I've had a lot of blessings that have helped protect me from the intensity, I think, of this borderline burden, because it's a burden. And I can remember a woman named Shirley. She was my primary caretaker, I guess, there. Although they would all work different shifts. Like, Shirley was the one who was most involved in my treatment, in monitoring my behavior, my patterns of behavior, any improvement in my behavior. And she was one of the ones who disciplined me out of love. The second person who really took a role of protecting my emotions and my stability in later adult life was a man named David Lenning. And he is probably the greatest man, one of the greatest men that is walking in the face of this earth. He would discipline me too, but he would give it to me straight. And he loved me, and I know he still loves me. And that really helped. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Another person is a man named Larry Minter, and he was one of the individuals that I first encountered in my treatment process. He was very supportive of me, and yeah. So there were some protective factors. I have some really great friends, later on in my adult life. And they're really supportive of my illness and my disease. I have great family members that are supportive. But again, my mother is not supportive. She kind of uses my disease to manipulate her behavior to make it look like it's me, it's not her. She does this, she did this with my brother and his alcoholism. She did it with my dad, saying he had Asperger's. Now she's definitely got the ammunition with me to do it. And she refuses to go to treatment with me because she says that she doesn't want to get hurt, which is bullshit. I feel like if you're someone's mom, regardless of their age, and you've caused damage, which is clear that she caused damage, and she says she did cause damage, you should be involved in the treatment process. That's my opinion. It's not a professional opinion, but that's how I feel. My my father has taken the stance that he wants to be involved, and a lot of the other supportive friends I have taken the stance that they want to be involved. So, that's basically the video. I should also note that I was sexually abused by someone who is not related to me. And I think that was another issue. I remember making a comment to my parents about the size of his penis. I was probably like 6 or 7, and they didn't do anything. So that left me obviously feeling abandoned and, you know, invalidated. So yeah, that's, you know, the story of where I come from and what I've experienced. So I'll post more videos, probably in the next coming days, but yeah, that's that. All right.